It's Friday, Feedback Friday, the feedbackiest day of the week. Ha, it's Feedback Friday. And this Feedback Friday, it is sweater weather season. So I'm wearing my Fantastic Four sweater. And it's very ironic that I wore this for the first time. I bought this in the summer when the movie came out. And I haven't been able to wear it because it was too freaking hot. But it's awesome. And it's funny because I'm recording this on Thursday. And I had like clients all day. And it took till 3 o'clock in the afternoon before a client was like, what are you wearing? I'm like, it's a Fantastic Four sweater. And it's awesome. It's so fun. I'm not sure I would wear it in public because I'm old school. I'm a little sensitive about freaking the mundanes. But for stuff like this, it's amazing. And it's actually the perfect weight for this weather because it has gotten cold. But that's not what Feedback Friday is about this week. There were comments. I'm going to focus on Monday's video because multiple comments focused around that sort of, I won't call it a knee jerk because knee jerks are like jumping at shadows, whereas this is actually legitimate. This is like something of a trauma response to this idea of being blamed or sort of accountability being weaponized. You know, the link between accountability, blame, and power. And this is one of these things that I wish someone had sat me down and talked to me about. I had to learn this myself. And it is an important internal boundary to set in your head. And it can be really powerful. Like, it can help you kind of keep your cool at times, like not feel so destabilized by some of these, I'll come right out and say, manipulations. So if you like this content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK. The goal on Coffee right now is for a new headset. Mine has a short in it. And any suggestions about models, I'd appreciate too, because I am looking at it and going, they all look the same. Some are $178, some are $340. I don't know the difference. But yeah, so the thing about accountability and blame and this idea of it sort of being a power thing. And blame kind of expanding, right? And one person said, you know, the onus of men anticipating and accepting such a browbeating from their partners would be considered emotional labor to the feminist crowds that advocate for such things. That was one line. And I mean, yeah, in a fair world, they may, but not in this world, probably. That, like, the idea, empathy kind of takes a shit with this stuff because of the assumption that men have a lesser range of emotions or less emotional intelligence instead of, you know, recognizing the truth, which is like men in early life are actively discouraged, shall we say, from developing that stuff. And just because somebody doesn't name their feelings the same thing doesn't mean they don't have them. There's been conversations about sort of what you see and what you hear in conversations, and it is amazing. Like, even in text, when it's right there, I watch the creep of meaning in it, from what is right there in the text to like what the person received. And, you know, this whole idea of things like accountability being used to bend people to their whims. It's not really accountability, because if you're being accountable, you're not trying to bend someone to your whims. Like, accountability is about what you do, right? Everybody is accountable for themselves. If you're going, I demand you be accountable, what you're really saying is, I'm blaming you. And being blamed is not the end of the world. I get blamed for a ton of shit I didn't do, and it never feels fair. But accountability is, for me, it's okay. I own when I see that I have done something wrong. And it's to the point that, I was talking about, sort of community management stuff. And, I said that I prefer to make adjustments when no one has to be corrected. So, okay, I'm seeing this imbalance happen. So let's course correct, because I am hyper aware. I've seen a lot of communities that I've personally been a part of that were successful for a really long time, and then this like really intense clique formed, and it destroyed the community. And so I'm very aware in my own stuff, okay, let's make sure, like, yes, there's a sense of belonging, but also we're constantly refining how to kind of onboard new people. And it's more art than science. But the point is, we're aware of it. And we do have discussions about it. And so when people start going, you're just a clique, and it's like, no, we know we are not, And when you have the conversations in advance, when you sort of set expectations, you actually take that power away from other people, but not in a bad way. It's like, look, you're you and you're entitled to your opinion, but here's all the evidence that we have so we can be accountable to ourselves, like considered criticism, but okay. Here's the proof against it, right? That's accountability. Blame is just, okay, you say I'm a bad thing, therefore I'm a bad thing. And so many people have internalized this, that the idea of having a self-concept that makes you feel like you have self-worth so that you can have self-esteem. So many people don't get to that point where they developed a self-concept, like, who am I? Who am I not? Because they grow up in intense environments of blame. And so, if you've got a caregiver who is one of those, look what you made me do kind of things, you're never going to, well, it's going to take a lot of work to go, this is who I am, this is who I'm not. I know myself well enough. Now, does that mean I'm perfect? Does that mean I'm always at my best? No, of course not. But you don't have to obsess over, are they right about me? Because your intentions are not that. And it is amazing to me how many people attack intentions instead of just like, okay, let's look at what's there. Let's see everybody's perspective here and see if we can get something where everybody is at least on the board, right? Nobody's going to be 100% right or wrong, but at least everybody feels at least understood. And that is a huge skip in a lot of communication, and I do this a lot with people, and it actually makes some people really angry. And I'm like, okay, you were raised in a very blamey environment. If you don't understand that somebody going like, look, I believe your intentions were good, but there's just certain ways you're saying things. Like, you structure something a certain way and you're going to get a bad reaction. People think that's me telling them to become a completely different person, and it's not. I have to do it, right? I mean, I know I don't mean anything by certain words I use, but it has a bad reaction for people. So I'm like, okay, I don't need that word. Mansplain is an example, right? I don't need that word. I can describe behaviors using other things, So since I don't need that word, and there's benefits to not using that word, hey, I'm going to find a different word. And it's actually more accurate to go, that was condescending, or that came across as assuming that I don't know my business, right? Win-win. Okay, I don't use the trendy word. I'm not going 6767, right? Like, I don't care. I was in the news all of a sudden for some reason today. It was on the Today Show, and it went everywhere on the internet, and that was Ohio. See, who cares? Like, I could just say, that's weird. So, this obsession with expression means that a lot of people don't listen, and they see nothing wrong with expressing their fears as facts. So that you don't care about this as much as I do. That's what they're afraid of. Not what's true, because they're not in your head. They don't know. And it's very vulnerable to say, I'm afraid you don't care. Or, what is more accurate, like, look, there are emotional needs I have that aren't getting met. And, I'm letting you know this so that if you want to be part of the solution, great. If you don't, and you're not willing to change anything, well, I have to, it is my responsibility to meet my own emotional needs. And that's a cold way of saying it by a lot of people's standards, but that is the accountable thing. You hit a certain age where you're too old to go, you don't care, I don't care about you, like, I don't need to listen to you, I don't care if you pay attention to me. Like, no. There's a certain point where it's like, look, okay, I want something, you don't want to give it to me, cool, next. And it's amazing how many people just lose their fucking minds when you do that. Like, it's some sort of nefarious plot against them, instead of it being, okay, I've heard you. You've freaked out on me for 3 days about something, but I can't budge on it. I'm not going to agree that I did something that I did not do, especially since it's about motivations and I know what was in my head and you don't. So if we can't get on the same page here, I'm just going to call it, because that's what's best for everybody. And if somebody can't handle that, then it can be a maturity issue. It can be a skill issue, but it can also be they've been taught some extremely manipulative behaviors that they may or not be aware of how manipulative they are. And when you come up against a manipulation like that, whether you think it's intentional or not, there's no point of going, you're trying to do this, set a boundary, something real simple of, that's stating my intention. I know that's not in my head. So I care about what you're feeling, but I need a feeling word, please. Stop telling me what's in my head, because you're wrong. That's not what I'm thinking. Somebody who's coming at you straight is, not in the heterosexual way, just the, way, karate chop. But Cobra in Time, Fantastic Four. Oh God, it's huge deal. Somebody who's coming at you authentically is gonna go, okay, you know what? You're right. I don't know what's in your head. This is just how I felt when you said or did this thing. That is the non-accusatory I feel language that we're looking for. Not you made me feel. Just when you said this or did this, I felt this, right? That's the starting point. You deserve that. Anything less than that, you have the right to not engage. And don't stonewall. Just go, I care about how you feel. I need you to talk about how you feel, not what you think I was scheming, because I know I wasn't, right? That is a really good test. Because if somebody is being accountable themselves, because accountability is like a dance form. You have a strong form, they have a strong form, then we can move as one unit smoothly. If somebody's all flopping over the place or somebody's too pushy, it's not going to work. And accountability is the same way. It only works if both parties or all parties are being accountable. And if all parties are not being accountable, then things have to slow down or stop until that accountability is regained. If you want me to talk more about this next week, I can. This is just the beginning and I am rushed. So help support this channel. Become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. And because of Fantastic Four, just flame on. Yeah.